We're definitely excited about this topic. As Jason mentioned, I'm Nick. I'm the director of brand partnerships over here at Netsertive, and definitely excited to speak with Jason and get a little bit into the weeds of how AI is changing local search today in 2025. But I'll go ahead and let Jason introduce himself for our crowd.
Yeah, I'm Jason Lynch, the head of marketing here at Netsertive, and this is a big topic. I mean, we have a lot of interest in AI in general. Obviously, I think we're all marketers on this call, and we are inundated by AI everywhere because I think it's a field that is ripe for disruption by AI. But how is it really changing your local success in your franchise networks? And that's what we're going to get into today.
Mhm. Yeah, but first, definitely we want to share a little bit about Netsertive. And if you're not too familiar with us, and we're about 16 years old. Our very first customer was actually a multi-location franchise business, which made us realize, like, dang, there's a large set of complexities out there that marketers today have to deal with, especially when it comes to advertising and trying to reach those local customers online. And so as we get into this very passionate and pressing topic of AI and how it's changing the local landscape and all that, definitely wanted to pass it over to Jason since he's the expert in this space, and kind of just ask him how AI is changing today, especially when it comes to search and local marketing.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. And definitely, if anyone has a question, feel free to pop it in the chat and we will get to the questions or follow up. And we'll also be sending the recording. And so let's get into it. So, how AI is reshaping local search. Definitely a big topic. And I think there's so many angles to this too, because AI has been in the picture for years on, behind the scenes, right? Where you've got the algorithms for both search and ads across platforms have been using AI. And what we're really digging into now, I think AI has come out from behind the curtain, right? And now we have these AI overviews and we have AI answer engines, right? And we're seeing all this chatter around answer engine optimization. And how do you optimize to show up in ChatGPT? How do I show up in AI is the question that's kind of how it bubbles up. And you have so many of these different AI tools now, right? So we have AI chatbots. We've got all kinds of generative AI tools for images and video, and it really is incredible what's going on. But we're really in the infancy of how AI is changing consumer behavior. And it really is, as we look, the average American performs 126 unique Google searches per month. So we're a searching crowd, and Google is processing approximately 5 trillion searches annually. And it's wild even that Google released these statistics because I think it's probably to counter some of that chatter of the chatbots and ChatGPT is taking over. I think Google released some of these stats recently just to reassert itself as the leader in the space still. Google sees 14 billion searches per day, whereas ChatGPT handled just 37.5 million search prompts daily. And again, I'm sure that number is climbing every day. But when you look at how traffic is changing, it might be even hard to tell on your website. This is something first kind of takeaway or tip. Um, Check out a tool called Plausible. So there's an analytics tool called Plausible. That's a cookieless analytics tool that's uh, kind of privacy centric, but it gives you a different slice of data if you can install it, and it's free. And so on Google Analytics, it's actually difficult to see the impact of chat search that's coming to your website because a lot of it actually shows up as direct traffic. So if you have direct traffic that's spiking or seems kind of strange, it might be that, but this is actually two screen grabs from a website that has around 40,000 monthly visitors. And this is chat, on the left, you can see it's the sources from chatgpt.com or the sources from Perplexity. So they don't have their content strategy is not necessarily information heavy. But you can tell that they're just starting to see these chatbots kind of start to send more traffic to them slowly over time. So if you're not able to see, and if you have HubSpot, it actually makes it easier to see, depending on what your marketing automation tools are, you can look in analytics and look for referral sources, and you can see if people are coming to your site from these other non-Google sources and even converting, right? You can do conversion reports in HubSpot and see if it's under other, right? You'll see these other kind of interesting new places where people might be finding your network. So again, it's plausible, and that is a good tool that you can install now, so it can start capturing your data moving forward, because it will only capture from when you install it. But
Jason, for this, I got a quick question for you. I'm just curious because so like as if I'm on Chat GPT and I'm searching for best home improvement services near me,
mm,
or what are the best home improvement things that do X Y Z? Is this like them listing out those brands, and then is that kind of what that referral looks
yeah,
like?
so it's a direct click. And some of the
Okay.
newer models of ChatGPT are putting more emphasis on web searching as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, exactly. It's when you click and go right to a website.
Okay.
Yeah. And we also know that the search results page is changing. So at the top of a Google search engine results page, or SERP, the AI overviews are surfacing results. And then you also have paid and you have organic. And then you have a lot of other elements on the page, which if you work in digital marketing, you know that there are a lot of different elements of the digital marketing, the SERPs. So it's how do you show up in these? And the AI overviews kind of reminds me of when people really started diving in and figuring out how do you show up on the map pack, right? Like how do you become one of the three featured local brands in near me searches? Because it's not, it feels a bit more like an art than a science sometimes. But there are best practices to follow, and it's kind of about doing the best practices consistently over time. And right now, actually, with AI overviews, Google is not pulling local businesses in and creating AI overviews for near me searches. They used to be doing that. They were doing that for a while, but my theory is that they're going to start doing that again, and I'll show you why. But the near me searches right now are not pulling in local businesses. So all the chatter about AI overviews right now is really about informational queries. So it's people that are searching for information and how to do something. That's really the types of AI overviews that are pulling in. But when
It's
you look at, there's something. Oh, go ahead, Nick.
I was gonna say it's funny because I was actually searching through AI, like using Chat GPT to see like, okay, of the Google searchers, how many them just use like are just looking for answers through the AI, like the Gemini AI or
Mm,
Google AI, and it said around 8%. And then of those 8%, 60% like find what they need to find and don't scroll, so they get off the
mm,
page. So it's crazy
yeah,
how
it's
in
interesting.
this new landscape of AI becoming more and more popular, that already 8% of
Hmm.
consumers are using AI, whereas you mentioned it's going to continue to grow as it gets more and more popular.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's all about consumer behavior, right? And so as marketers, we can influence consumer behavior, but also we can follow consumer behavior to figure out how to get in front of the right people at the right time. If you haven't seen this yet, this is Google's new AI mode. So it basically takes AI overviews, and it's AI overviews on steroids, and it's this sort of interesting mix of a advanced reasoning. It's kind of like combining ChatGPT or Gemini with AI overviews, but it's that sort of question, answer, conversational search experience while still bringing in links and references. So it's a lot of this is in beta right now. And again, sometimes Google quickly retires its beta experiences or it evolves them. But I think that this is very likely to continue evolving into the experience that the local marketers need to have on their radar. Because even though Google's not pulling in the AI overview like near me searches right now, I think it will. And when we start with like power washing near me, for example, because I am a beta tester for the AI mode, right? So I searched in the AI mode best power washing company near me. I live in Holly Springs, North Carolina, a suburb of Raleigh, and it gave me a breakdown right away of the top rated power washing companies in Holly Springs. So, and it says it essentially is that answer engine, right? Where it's telling you, here are the top rated, here's why.
Hmm.
And it's like we boast this, they have a 5-star rating on numerous reviews. It's, here it's really leaning on reviews, and then it's telling you, which is again, a lot of times in digital, the secrets are just hidden in plain sight, where it's telling us factors to consider when choosing a company: customer reviews, services offered, experience and expertise, pricing and estimates, insurance and licensing. So to me, that all sounds like trust and authority and all the things that Google tells you to put into your digital presence. So do people have a good experience and like and trust you? Do you have relevant services and experience and expertise and qualifications? So it really comes down to the kind of the same basics of it's telling you right there just to have a robust digital presence. So look for companies with consistently high ratings and positive reviews on platforms like Google, Yelp, and the Better Business Bureau. I mean, this is probably the prompt that they're giving it behind the scenes, right? And it's just publishing it.
Cool. Yeah, we have a question from Chris. He said, "How can you increase your listing search for AI to classify higher?"
So we will be diving into that here shortly. So yeah, I think the rest of this webinar is really going to answer that question. So yeah, exactly. How do you prep your digital footprint for AI powered search? So kind of what we were looking at here in if you think about all of those things, to me, that just sounds like doing good marketing, right? And I think a lot of the answer to the question of how do you increase your ranking is really about that digital footprint, right? The overall digital footprint. How are you providing that experience at the local level so that you are relevant, hyper relevant to the locations, but then also to just the brand overall, right? Like the air cover brand marketing. And so this question is, how do I show up in AI, right? That's just a very basic way people have been asking it. And there's if you know Ahrefs, they're a digital insights company. They do a lot with search engine tracking, and they do a lot of keyword research and things for you. And they've been really trying to get ahead of this whole AI answer engine research. So go check out their blog at Ahrefs because they have so much interesting research coming out about this exact question of how do I show up in AI. And one of the things that they had was just this, again, this isn't a aha moment as much as an observation that the more people that search for brand online, the more times that brand gets mentioned by AI chatbots, right? So it just kind of comes down to the more that you're out there and the more brand reputation and visibility and equity you have, right? That's also just going to be, it's going to be the same thing on AI, chatbots, right? Because there's a new standard that's been proposed by Anthropic, the company that owns Claude, the search engine, or the AI generative AI tool Claude. So it's basically to have like a robot text file, and it's basically like a large language model text file to help these large language models search your website better. So that, like they're proposing this as maybe this could be a new standard, right? And I mentioned that to say that there is no new standard yet, right? There's no secret sauce yet. There's no like you can't, you can do everything wrong, but have this secret file on your website and everything else is you're going to rank high in the chat, generative chat bots, right? So it really comes down to doing good marketing, and like Google tells you right here. So this question, how do I show up in AI? Google's saying AI overviews appear in Google search results when our systems determine that generative responses can be especially helpful. For example, when you want to quickly understand information from a range of sources, including information from across the web in Google's knowledge graph. So it's what is the intent of the searcher? I think that's a really good question to always keep in mind is what information are you providing and how does it match the intent of someone searching for your business? Like what is the intent of someone when they're searching for a local business? Oftentimes it really is the best thing near me. It just
Yeah.
boils down to that. It's that simple. And then how do they qualify the best? They're looking at reviews. They're looking at trust factors like a human element on the page. It's convenient. They have all the information they need to make a decision at their fingertips, multiple ways to engage, right? And so Google systems automatically determine which links appear. There's nothing special for creators to do to be considered other than to follow our regular guidance for appearing in search as covered in Google Search Essentials. So the best information that anyone has right now is that it is the same core Google Search Essentials, right, that will help you with your SEO, and that will help you show up for anyone looking for you that's a good local fit customer, and that will help you also now with these for with AEO where you're going to be optimized for answer engines. And also those same things help you with Google Ads actually, because it provides a better quality experience which lowers the cost of your ads. So overall, right, the answer is really just providing this holistic experience and just crushing it as a marketer. So no pressure, super simple. And at Netsertive, we talk about the digital marketing hierarchy of needs. And it really goes into the foundation of your web content, right? And it's really about matching the local audience and local market to the experience that you're providing, because you can't spend a bunch of money on Google ads or have a great social experience or have any other touch point that sends people to the property, and then the experience is disappointing when people get there, right? You have to have a really localized experience and then be able to have that digital presence where it's like signage pointing to that localized experience, and then you're having customer outreach,
Mhm.
and then you're doing all of this better with automation and speed, and then you're really getting into actionable insights and understanding how all of this is connecting, what's changing over time, right? And so it's really like the digital signage going up through visibility and leading to decision support, right, and scale. So that's like the hierarchy of needs. And so it really does come down to to just the basics. And we'll send afterwards, we have this localized digital marketing audit that you can use, and it helps for thinking about your local presence and AI readiness. And again, it's AI readiness, but it's also SEO. It's just overall digital marketing is what is going to help you crush the game here in 2025 still. And some of these tools, right, are helping to do this at scale and to improve the localization and the insights that are happening at the local level, right? And so that's where we're really seeing a lot of impact. So we'll definitely be sending that out after the webinar as well. So let's just go through some of these things, right? And this is a good way to audit yourself and your presence. And it's kind of interesting. A lot of people, once something is created, right, it's launched, and then you don't look at it again, right? It's been a while since you've looked at the services page, or maybe the bottom half of your services page, or there's just a lot of opportunity for people to just look at their digital profiles with fresh eyes to say, okay, do we have a truly localized location and landing page experience for our locations, right? With localized content. So it's local, 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 right? How can we be more local and do that at scale? And you'll see with organic traffic, the percent of engaged traffic and conversions, right? You can do a test. And I would say just take one location and say, we're going to make this location, we're going to max the local, right? We're going to turn this location up to an 11 on the localization scale. And you'll see the conversion rate double. I've seen that before. Just making it personalized and having all of those signals of authority and trust and authenticity, right? Um, so that is what will make a big impact for your website. Um, and Nick is the king of the profiles. What do you think, Nick, about Google Business Profiles? I mean, this is a huge aspect of it too.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great place to start as well, especially because the Google business profiles are usually what the potential customers see first. But you need to make sure that you're ranking higher in order for you to get to that specific customer. Because if you're like myself, I like to put myself in the consumer standpoint. So if you're like me, you're rarely scrolling, and you're never going to the second page of Google. So it's important to have your Google business profile, optimized, especially when people are doing local searches, because it provides key information about your locations, about your location and what you have to offer. So making sure that your name, address, phone number, everything is accurate, because Google goes ahead and it audits these long tail other directories to make sure that what those directories are displaying and showing are matching up with what you're providing Google, because they want to make sure that that information is trusted, because they don't want to be the source of distrust. So as if you have multiple directories that you're being currently found on or utilizing, make sure that all that is accurate. So like with Rebath, if they had like an LLC at the end of it, but then on Apple Business Connect or on Apple they didn't have the LLC, that's something that Google will take into consideration and ultimately hurt your rankings, because they don't know which one to trust. So, Jason, if you go to the next slide, so this is kind of where we take that source of truth and where we collect all that information and internalize it. And so with this, you want to try to make sure to fill out as much as possible, because the more you have, the more trustworthy it's going to be. So obviously the name, address, phone number, business hours, all of that, but then also the other things that maybe you don't think about. So what payments are accepted? Is it handicap accessible? Is there Wi-Fi? Is there on-street parking? Do you have to pay to park? So all those little things definitely play a role in the trust, because once you fill out the source of truth document, we can then go ahead and syndicate it out to all the directories that you're currently being utilized on or that you want to be found on, so that then Google will then reward you for having that trust and having all the accurate information, because I think 95% of search these days happens on Google. So that's really the one that we want to focus on first. And so by doing this, it allows the long tail directories to have the exact accurate information that you're then providing Google to then help you with ranking higher on those search engines, to then drive more leads, but more qualified leads, and then convert them at a higher rate, because they don't have to scroll as far, or you're showing up in that local 3-pack or the paid ads or whatever it is. So it's important to make sure that all your business information and your profiles are accurate and up to date, because Google definitely takes that into consideration. And then for this one, for local listings, kind of alluding back to what I was just talking about, having inconsistent business information, published on various online platforms is ultimately going to hurt your overall ranking. So obviously Google being the big monopoly that it is, the 95% of search comes from, then Facebook, Apple being those are the other three that are the main ones. So we need to make sure that we're optimizing those specific directories so that we're displaying the correct information, so that then Google and those other directories reward us for ranking higher on those search engines. Because as Jason mentioned before, Chat GPT, all these different AI, directories and platforms are making referrals to what you're searching for. And so with us having accurate information and being trusted by these directories, it's going to give that AI, referral even more inclination to refer you to those specific individuals or customers looking for the products and services that you're offering.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And really related to this is schema markup is, again, if depending if you're more technical or not, I'm sure you've probably heard of this. But this is another thing that these answer engines have said helps, is just to make the content as readable and scannable as possible. And so schema markup is really the code that's it's a structured data, right, on the back end of your website that talks about how, what is the meaning of all of this information and how should users see it when they're searching. And so this is something that definitely does influence the way that your website shows up in Google. And it can help with these AI chatbots that are searching the web as well. And so just generally, there's a lot of opportunity for structured data to um, basically anchor your location pages to a geographic location, right? So latitude and longitude, and then connect it into the other local businesses. So like, or the pages and properties for that local business. So like the Facebook page, for example, and just kind of anchor the page somewhere geographically. And so when you look at how, thinking outside the box for uh, organic search results, right? You can think about the schema and you can think about adding, can we say, hey, let's add, FAQ schema so that we know this is these are questions, and make that easier. We can add review schema, right? So just think outside the typical results on a page from both a schema standpoint and the structured data, so that you can provide that explicit context about the content on your page. Because on the right, you can show up, there are text results, there are, these rich results that are rolling up, listings or content listed on your page. There's images, there's videos, there's this exploration features on the bottom, like people also searched for. So if you have a location, what are the images called, right? Is it best power washing in Holly Springs, North Carolina? Is that what the image is called? Or is it called just a random string of numbers? So there's a lot of opportunity to search for, or to surface these local content experiences as people are searching for, your locations near them. Um, and reviews is another huge one that's clearly driving more and more impact these days.
Yeah, especially Jason, that when I feel like it's gotten even more and more popular when COVID hit, because you weren't allowed to go out and you had to do a lot of online shopping, so you weren't able to feel the product and feel everything. So I feel like with reading reviews, everyone's making or having purchasing decisions based off the reviews they read. So having effective reviews is more important than ever. And I know a lot of people, like to just respond to the positive ones and not really like the negative ones, but you should probably respond to the negative ones a little bit. Probably 100% of the negative ones rather than the positive ones. I mean, they're all important, but a lot of purchasing decisions are made based off the reviews they read. And if you're a stat guy like I am, then this will be interesting for you, Jason. Let me read you a stat that I
Okay.
found. So this is based. So I put into AI. That's pretty funny. I put into AI or Chat GPT. Kind of what, like, with a Google review. If it is a negative review, what is the likelihood of that reviewer either changing the review or deleting the review once a business owner responds to that review effectively. So here's the results. So it said approximately 63% of consumers, 63, are willing to update their negative review or rating if a business effectively addresses their complaint, while an additional 27% might consider updating their review. So that's 90%. If you just respond to a negative review effectively, you have the potential of that 90% of consumers could either change their review or are willing to change their review. And then one more stat for you, Jason. Over 60% of the negatively deleted Google reviews had responses from the business owner. So that I feel like that's a crazy stat, especially as you're trying to get a higher star rating, trying to have more positive reviews and positive sentiment out there that are being displayed. Just responding to a negative review, either taking it offline or just responding to it effectively and addressing their issue, can you have a 90% chance that they change it, and then an additional 60% that they could either delete the review altogether. So that ultimately helps your overall star rating, helps your positive sentiment, and helps people trust you a little bit more as far as your reputation goes because they're reading more positive reviews out there.
Yeah, it's really, really fascinating. I think negative reviews are just a cry for attention, you know?
Yeah, and
Just
another
acknowledgement.
quick stat, since I'm a stat guy, I know I shared this with you, Jason, but, and it takes it takes 5 to 7 positive experiences to create a loyal customer, while it takes 1 to 3 negative experiences to lose that customer. So, we wanna make sure those experiences are as positive as possible, and we want to make sure that they're reviewing or displaying their positive interactions with you guys with in a detailed response. So I think those stats are pretty crazy and pretty eye opening, especially as you're trying to create loyalty and not lose not lose customers.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I know that the recent review or the recent Google update, I was reading about just the importance of personal experiences in reviews. So if a review is really generic or sounds like it could have been generated by AI, it's not as powerful as if a review really sounds personal and is, includes someone's name or just goes into just a real authentic story of some sort. So definitely encourage those and keep responding to the negatives. And that, as you saw in the AI overview of the AI mode, right, it just directly referenced the reviews. So that's critical.
Mhm.
Organic social is another one, right? Where just having a consistent organic social media strategy across locations. And again, I'm sure you all have social strategies, right? But how consistent is it? How localized is it? Are you
Mhm.
posting with enough air cover? I don't know what do you think, Nick, about what are you seeing working on social?
Yeah, I mean, making sure that, you're posting consistently and constantly, just because consumers like to see the behind the scenes almost or like pictures of what that experience actually feels like and looks like. And so as a consumer, I'm gonna be more trustworthy of a brand that constantly posts on social media and posts these positive experiences rather than a brand that hasn't posted since 2019. So we want to make sure that there's actively a pulse on your brand's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, really whatever it is, to make sure that the experiences are out there and the positive ones because it builds that brand reputation, it builds that trust with consumers rather than if you never post then it's like, okay, is this brand even still around in my local area? So it helps with the local reputation, it helps with driving leads, and helps with it's a cheaper way to have I guess the cost per lead go down because it's more organic and it gives you a better look of what's behind the scenes with that specific brand in that local location.
Yeah, no, totally. It definitely is a great opportunity for authentic trust building and just people to, evaluate you. And then targeted campaigns are just, again, having highly localized digital advertising running with budgets and creative at the local level. So really leaning into localization and just looking at the cost per lead, optimizations, ROI. And you can't do that if you don't have everything wired up together, and just being able to drill down and kind of zoom out, right, at the same time as you're doing in these analyses, which is definitely related to just this integration of MarTech and data. So, like, are you able to compare campaigns and lead performance across locations and optimize at scale? Right, really being able to see what's working in one location over another, is huge, because that gives you insights into drilling in to say, was it the campaign? Right, were we testing new creative? Were we testing that new localized landing page experience in this market? Or was it, did the main competitor go out of business and now they're just crushing it and dominating the market? But really thinking about integrating MarTech and data all together so that the system is wired, and that's really what you need in order for AI to be used um, in the analysis of everything, right? And that kind of leads into a poll we wanted to do. So definitely, let me see these polls. Wanted to hear from you all a bit, and I'm going to launch this poll. So we've been talking a bit here. So I want to know this question here of how are you all seeing AI being used in your marketing right now? Is it content creation? Is it synthesizing info and summaries? That's a great one. Just being able to dump a whole lot of info and PDFs into, your AI engine of choice, and have that be, pull in everything. And then, but I think some of the power is in data analysis and workflows and agentic AI. I mean, that's really when we look at the future of all this. And I'm sure we'll be doing a webinar soon enough on agentic AI, and maybe, the next gen, how to start incorporating it, because we know of franchise networks that are using, they're using AI agents already. But yeah, content creation. So I'll end the poll here, but content creation is a huge one, right? That's really where we've been all probably seeing the day-to-day transformed, is just in content creation. But I think the big opportunity here is in synthesizing and data analysis, right? And then obviously, I think agentic AI, we'll see. I'm sure in a year, even, it's going to be AI's world when it comes to how we're using AI agents, which is something we're all just understanding more of. But in order for us to have these, oh, I meant to share the results. My bad, my bad.
Oh, wow.
There you go. Should be able to see it now. But yeah, basically, just 75% said content creation, 50% sharing info and summaries, and then 25% are looking at data and AI. So definitely looking forward to learning more about how people are using AI agents. So when we look at using data analysis in these, MarTech and data for both performance, it really comes down to this bonus, which is, if we had an even deeper level on the digital marketing hierarchy of needs, it would be your CRM, right? And your CRM is next. And that's something that I know franchise networks struggle with, because it takes so much habit and behavior change at the location level to really keep the CRM clean. But if you're going to have AI point at anything in your tech stack when it comes to data or customer data or create experiences with that data, you need to have you need to have clean data to use, right? So it's like the CRM is so foundational. And if I think this is really important, of just telling people that, hey, this is the data, this is the core data that we need and how we're going to use it. So it's like, we need to personalize people's emails. We want to be able to send them, messages, send them mail campaigns, celebrate their anniversary, give us alerts for gaps in service, send a happy birthday greeting. It's like all really basic stuff, but this is a problem we hear from people over and over and over again, that the CRM is not trustworthy, and they have problems with their customer data, and it really limits the campaigns that can be done. Because AI can do so much if it has the data and the structure right in place. If everything's connected and not fragmented, then it's really, you're able to do a lot of really creative stuff. So we found that really explaining the why and helping franchisees understand the, um, you know, like why data is so important and what can be done with it is hugely helpful. And so some things that we've seen for keeping your data clean is like having a named data champion, even at the location level. There's someone that's process oriented that works in that location, and it might not be the franchisee, right? Probably not. If they're like a more entrepreneur, strategic person, who's the data champion that's going to rein everyone in and make them, have clean data? Having data standards in your SOPs, providing employee training and emphasizing data's importance, putting guardrails in place, like the required fields in your CRM. I mean, that's the right balance. If you can require those validations in your CRM, then it makes a huge difference. Conducting data audits on a routine schedule, sharing insights with your team. I mean, that's a huge one, right? And even sharing the results of campaigns done with personalized data. So always able to provide a plug for, for data and cleanliness in the CRM. We have one
Minute.
more poll I want to do here with this, which is really this. So all that being said, I mean, do you feel like AI overviews and new ways to search are hurting your web traffic? Uh, and it's really interesting because we get to see inside a lot of different networks, and they have different strategies when it comes to their CRM, or not their CRM. Yes, their CRM, but really their digital footprint and their CMS, right? The way that they're putting content out there. Um, and so it seems like so far we're hearing about 50-50. Yes, AI overviews are hurting, and no, and then the other 50% is not sure yet. So, and it really is maybe a lot of informational queries, and some of that content is where we're seeing more of the, AI overviews creating those zero-click searches, right? Where people are searching for information, they're getting what they need.
Mm-hmm.
But then it also creates disjointed experiences where they search for information and then they pick up their phone and search again, right? Or they pick up their phone because they use Facebook or Instagram on their phone or something. So they search for information, they see it, and then they go to their phone and look at another app. So that is another huge pattern that happens. And so it kind of can't be counted out. But yeah, it looks like we're 50-50 on is our AI overviews hurting your traffic. So either yes or not sure yet. So it's exciting to be a marketer and to be experiencing this time of crazy change. So if anyone has any questions, definitely feel free to chime in. Um,
Yeah, I know Jason and I have a little bit more time if anybody had any additional questions. But yeah, Jason, the last poll was interesting because yeah, I can see it potentially, affecting maybe some clicks or driving people to a website directly just because they're already getting that information and what they need right there. But as it continues to evolve, I can see some things adjusting to where it's directing you to a website or FAQs on a business listings page or Google My Business profile or something like that.
yeah, no, I mean, there's a lot, this stuff's always going to change, but for now, the fundamentals are critical, right? Just stay with the fundamentals, and you can always champion the fundamentals because those, no one has those optimized fully yet, right? So it's like just continue to stay with the fundamentals, and as new tactics arise and become clear, then it'll be, you'll be prepared to move on and adopt those new tactics. But if you don't, if everything else is a mess, no amount of, uh, you know,
Yeah.
trickery is going to all of a sudden make your brand super valuable and show up in AI overviews because you didn't do the fundamentals yet. So it's really like consistently hitting those fundamentals and localizing everything and then being able to measure it all. And if you can do that, then you'll be prepared to lead into the AI powered future. So
Yeah, no, well, we don't have any more questions. I think we gave him enough time, but we'll go ahead and send this recording to you all because I know that was a lot of information. But we appreciate your time and we hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday and week. Wow.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thanks everyone. Appreciate it and look forward to being in touch.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.